Oh, hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. Okay, so here we go, guys. These are not broadcasts I want to do, by the way. I got to tell you, thankfully, thank God, I just got a phone call after I had made, a phone call to somebody else, and I've been talking to my family and different members. And I'm going to continue to do that through the day because you should too, because they're announcing everything on TV very slowly to you and what's going on. And as I predicted, and guys, I want to be wrong about these things. Suny schools have now basically closed. It's over, right? They're done. They're closed. It's not, it's not like a thing. So we're gonna take all your questions and all that stuff. But first, I want to play. This is a tough day, guys. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be emotional, but if you got a loved one in the city, you don't know when that's going to be locked down at this point. I want to make that very, very clear to people because that's very real. And I don't want it to be real, guys, but it's very real right now, okay? And if you don't understand that with the school closures starting and quickly, I'm going to explain it to you because it needs to be explained. So thumbs this video up. So this is going to be a tough video for people, all right? Now, Cuomo himself, we're going to play this. He tells a lot of truth in here, and then I'll kind of point out his lies. And I'm going to tell you why they're the pointed lies. But before I get there, if you guys watched my AMA yesterday, what did I describe to you in that video? How New Rochelle was not any more of a breakout in New York than anywhere else, that they had cases in Buffalo and Niagara 3 or 4 weeks ago, that they chose that as a strategic zone because the military will need to be there to cordon off the city first. This is not a drill. This is the truth. And if you see behind me, that is the official, yes, blue checkmark Army National Guard Education Services hearting my video. Do you understand the implications of that? Do you get that? It's scary because it's really going to happen. All right, so let's get to Cuomo here, and we're going to break this down.
Contracting with private labs in the state to increase our testing capacity. Remember again the chronology. We started several weeks ago. CDC said they would do all the tests and they would send them to Atlanta. We said that was too little, too late. They allowed the state laboratory to do testing.
That was in Albany, by the way. And remember, all of this is selective testing and reporting. That's what we need to understand. That's why they chose New Rochelle. And later in this, he's going to admit that. He's going to admit we don't know a mortality rate, and he's going to admit what I've been telling you for a long time. This has probably been here since January, 100%. And now, no matter what, you're going to see lockdowns of large places. Okay, so here we go.
That capacity was several hundred. We said that's too little, too late. We have great labs in this state. Why the federal government wouldn't avail itself of the labs, why they wouldn't have had protocols and tests ready. So we are going to contract directly with the private labs in this state. There are about 200 labs in this state. The Department of Health routinely works with about 28 labs, which are expert in this kind of testing and virology.
And let's stop that right there because I got a super chat and I'll take it. And it's from Nihi Institution Remibit. Any proof of connecting coronaviruses to deaths? Yes, 100%. I'm going to put this link in here. We did a video on this, and this shows you, well, again, it's who they're saying is the target population. I want to make that very clear. But the idea that 30 plus people, if you look at the latest numbers, because those are not real numbers, would die even in an assisted living situation in 3 weeks, should let you know, even the ones they refused to test post-mortem that had no signs. Remember, in that same facility, there was a woman that was asymptomatic, and this is admitted by their PR guy, by the way, guys. Is this the video here, over here? No, it's a different thing. But there is a PR guy that actually admitted this as well, all right, that basically the person was asymptomatic, They came down with symptoms. They got into the hospital. They were dead in 5 hours. Now, again, this is a high-risk patient. This was in that Kirkland nursing home. But I put the Kirkland link there. So, yes, there are links to coronavirus death. But a lot of the deaths that you probably saw due to flu season or the elderly were just misdiagnosed before. That you got to understand, this is the problem, that there are a lot of asymptomatic carriers all over the United States, and they know this. So why are they selectively testing? I think they realize that the panic is going to start to ensue now that it is very widespread throughout the nation, and that older people will be susceptible, and your loved ones will start, suffering the real, 15% of these people that are sick. But let's continue with Cuomo.
And where the Department of Health has a pre-existing relationship with these labs, where they're confident of the lab's work product, et cetera. We had a call with the 28 labs today. We informed them that they should get up, get running, and start moving forward with testing. There's still some complexity that the FDA needs to sign off on the actual protocols of some of these tests. And that is still complicating the situation.
And my issue with this is, look, I want large swaths of the population tested, but at the same time, who's to say those results are going to be correct? Who's to say who they're going to quarantine in the end? They're saying they're not quarantining. Basically, they're letting, first of all, they're not testing people that have clearly been in contact with people who have tested for the virus. The Kirkland families are an example of that. So we do not have large-scale testing. So we don't know how many asymptomatic carriers are out there. And Cuomo is going to admit later that the cat's out of the bag. All right, and remember, Fauci last night, guys, if you're not paying attention, okay, Fauci last night admitted that it is everywhere, all hands on deck today. The WHO says it's a pandemic. Shepard Ambellis came on my show 2 weeks ago. You guys all yelled at me and said, there's no way we're going to be at pandemic level 6 in this country by the third week. I think he said 3/23, March 23rd. It's looking more and more like that every day. And we already have military on the streets. And I never, 5-6 weeks ago, I didn't think it was coming to the United States. Before I started to realize that those calls about Buffalo and Niagara Falls were real. And that's when all these mechanisms started to go into place. And that now it's not just about the market. Because we talked about the market. We talked about price gouging. We talked about protecting yourself from that. But now we're in the next steps, guys. We got to be real about this. We got another super chat. If the virus was here in January or earlier, does that change where we think it originated from? Remember, Stephen, I've been saying this. I think it's two different things. They're both, coronavirus has been around forever. That's why they call this novel coronavirus or COVID-19. But now they're admitting there are two separate strains. They want to say that's a mutation. But do we know that's a mutation? We don't. So why wouldn't one act as a cover for the other? So, number one, you blame China because that's where the first big outbreak is. But, in fact, coronavirus, the less lethal strain, was just everywhere at the same time. And then the deadlier strain comes out of China and then Iran and then now is making its way to Italy, et cetera, et cetera. Now that strain, which I would imagine is not as infectious as the other, because what you have to understand is there, and Cuomo already admitted this in a previous yesterday's press conference. Look it up. He said that this was way more infectious than the flu. And in fact, everybody who's been tested that lived in the same household with somebody who was positive also was infected. It's so far, show me someone that was living with somebody who hasn't gotten it, because I haven't seen that yet. And those are official numbers. So hopefully that's a good explanation. So let's continue with Cuomo, because he's going to move from just the tests. And guys, again, we're going to take all super chats, but I'm going to try to get to questions at the end of this. All right. Oh, I hate doing these videos. All right.
But this will greatly increase our testing capacity as we get these 28 labs up and running. We had them on the telephone today. We had the communication today, and we're starting the mobilization of those 28 labs, but that'll make a big difference. But frankly, we're not in a position where we can rely on the CDC or the FDA to manage this testing protocol.
So let's stop. that's why there's all these crazy executive orders too, and that's why he's talking about privatized health. And remember, the first satellite testing facility is where? New Rochelle, because they're going to have to test people in and out of that city that have to go in and out for different types of work. That's the reality of this. So really what I think I'm seeing here is they're pre-contracting these places to get ready and set up in the perimeter, all right, for after the lockdown for those types of tests. And then the CDC will probably come in on the national level when it can. That's kind of speculation, but again, I've been following this, guys. I'm watching the press conferences. I'm seeing how people act. I'm looking at the other nations, and you must look to Italy as the model right now. If you're not looking at Italy, you're being ignorant.
So we'll be moving forward with that. Second track, reduce density. Why? Because if somebody is infected, you don't want them to infect more people. That's what we're doing in New Rochelle. You have that intense cluster.
Thank you,
you
Tara.
have an intense cluster. Stop large gatherings where you have a large cluster of people who are infected. It's called common sense. And that's what we announced with New Rochelle. We're also announcing that CUNY and Suny, starting March 19th, will move to a distance learning model. And both systems will be doing that. CUNY will help reduce the density in New York City.
Let me stop you here. So here's where he's very savvy to be dishonest. But he's savvy to be dishonest here by not explaining to people outside of the New York system or living in this very, very large state, all right, of what this actually means. Because he acts like downstate is the only place that SUNY schools are, all right? Like that New Rochelle, Westchester, Rockland area. That's not true. That's not true. School, we do it live here. Thumbs this video up, by the way, guys. Get this out to your friends and family. Let them know what's actually happening. Have conversations, all right? I mean, this is an important thing for people to understand. Let's see if we can bring up the, all right. So in fact, what you don't, this is what they don't tell you. He's going to say something, all right, like, oh, we're going to stop all the like SUNY schools are all here. No, these are the SUNY schools. Do you see? University colleges are the red ones. There's Oswego. There's Plattsburgh I talked about. Potsdam, Brockport, Buff State, Geneseo. Remember, the first real clusters that we know of that we can trace back to actual tests are actually in this region of New York. This is the area down here, guys, below that they are going to cut off via Westchester County and New Rochelle. He's acting like Old Westbury and Purchase and maybe even New Paltz. No, I'm over here in Oneonta, Cortland. Guys, I'm not even really that far away. You know, but again, since it's been selective testing, they're not telling you the truth. So watch out. This is where it gets me upset, because he kind of wants to downplay to the public that the reality is it's already all over the state. But he's going to admit that later. That's what the weird thing is.
SUNY will help reduce the density in downstate New York. That's SUNY Purchase. It's Stony Brook. It's Westbury, et cetera. Downstate is where we have the highest density of cases now.
Again, that's a lie. See, he says highest density of cases, but later he'll tell you that he's not testing random groups. They're testing selected groups. And again, he doesn't mention New Paltz. He doesn't mention me. There's Cortland, Fredonia. You know what I'm saying? Buff State, Geneseo, Brockport, Empire State. And remember, a lot of these private ones are already done. They're already out. So he's very, very deceptive there. Okay, these ideas that there aren't clusters throughout New York State, there are. They can only mobilize the military to one place right now because it's going to be one of the first places in the country. That is the reality. He's spitting out predator class talking points dished out by the CDC and the WHO. Well, you know that, and at the same time he criticizes them. Okay, so let's continue.
So SUNY and CUNY closing March 19th. Thereabouts. There are some different campuses. There may be some variability.
Now, that's the other thing. Again, downplaying it. Right now, a lot of SUNY schools are on spring break, including mine. That means they're not going to be able to come back Monday and get their stuff. He says the 19th. It gives you the idea, oh, everybody's going to get their stuff. No, all their stuff there is staying there. And if things go south, guys, which I think we all know, looking at the models, the sickest people will probably be quarantined on SUNY campuses. Later on, when they do like the Q&A, and we won't even go that far. I promise we won't even have to listen to that. They say that some of the classes in biology department, et cetera, they're going to have to stagger them. They're not going to be able to do them online, et cetera. But guys, again, day by day, they're announcing it's much worse. They haven't closed schools nationally, but remember, there's a reason they weren't able to close schools even in New York yet. And that's extremely important. They don't have the capacity to. All right, that's going to be one of the last things they do because, all right, take a look. 114,000 kids will be homeless when they have to announce the closure. And by the way, my buddy's already been called into. He's a teacher down there. He's already been called into an emergency. I think it's superintendent's meeting to start preparing a couple weeks of online classes. This is a 2 to 3 month deal at least. Island Girl says, thanks, Jason. I thank you. I thank you. So please spread this information to your family. Let's continue. And I'm going to show you, again, Cuomo is dishing out a lot of, half-truths and misinformation. But at the end of the day, he's going to tell you the truth about the situation.
But that will be a way to reduce density, and that is a good thing. I've also spoken today with hundreds of business leaders, primarily in New York City. I've asked them voluntarily to help reduce the density. There are a number of ways they can do this, different work shifts. Some people work early, some people work late, different teams. One team works 1 week, the other team works the other week. But again, ways to reduce density in the city, telecommuting, working from home. All the experts say social distancing. You should be more than 6 feet from someone. Try walking down a New York City sidewalk and be 6 feet from people. It would be virtually impossible. So reducing density, how do you do that? Ask the businesses to cooperate.
So let me explain what that translates to. Right now, they're preparing the large-scale businesses that need to stay up and running in this because it's going to start with schools, guys, but then businesses are also going to shut down. They're already going to, listen, he already talks about St. Patrick's Day being shut down in Ireland and how they're going to make that decision for New York. The decision has been made, but they're rolling out information slowly. Boston and Ireland canceled St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is canceled. All large-scale sporting events are eventually going to be canceled, probably within the next week. Get ready for it. There is no March Madness. In fact, I'm kind of expecting that announcement before Friday at this point. I don't think that, like, for instance, the Bellator that I had planned on going to before all this madness happened is going to happen. I wish I was wrong. I want to be wrong about this. But, I'm listening to what they're saying, and for instance, CVS, somebody tested positive, right? So somebody's sending me internal emails that they're already getting ready to telecommute as possible in that industry. And that's a pharmaceutical one. That's where people are going to need their meds. Remember, certain things will have to be open, right? Certain things will have to be open for people. But, this is the real deal.
We're also going to be making a decision on the St. Patrick's Day parade. We'll make that decision later on. I want to speak with a few more people, but I've been speaking with health experts, Dr. Fauci, who I believe is one of the best in the nation, who I've spoken to a number of times. He testified today, and this is his strong recommendation. Just reduce large gatherings. Why would you risk bringing thousands of people together, knowing that this is a virus that easily communicates? Dr. Fauci was talking about sports events, et cetera, but St. Patrick's Day is one of the great convenings, right, of a large number of people. So we'll be making that decision today. But if you listen to the experts, they would say you should not be having a St. Patrick's Day convening at this time.
Let me stop you. So do you see how that's a microcosm for all the information that's slowly coming out? That's slowly we're not going to put it, we're not going to let you know in this press conference that we're absolutely closing St. Patrick's Day down. It's a little bit at a time. And, we're going to make that decision today. So we'll see if we put that through a press secretary, or maybe as they announce more school closures, there's already another press conference aligned with that and what businesses they're going to close and what travel is now going to be limited in that New Rochelle containment zone. All right? Because again, they're going to act like that containment zone is going to get wider, not in the city, but in that area, so they can span out military for when they ultimately lock it down. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. We're going to get back to Cuomo in a second and how he's talking about how this has probably been here since January, and I'm going to explain why that is extremely significant. But listen, this is how I'm doing it. $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Big donors, now's the time. I'm going to have bills. I know you're going to have bills. I'm not a rich man. I got a family to take care of. I'm trying to stock up as much as possible. Let's get back to it, guys. Let's go back to Cuomo.
Which I believe makes sense. We said if we're asking people to be quarantined, we are asking the legislature to pass a bill that says people will be paid by their employer if they're on quarantine. Lead by example. New York State will pay any person who is quarantined who is an employee of New York State. So if you're on mandatory quarantine or on what we call precautionary quarantine, you'll be paid if you're a state employee. Public transit.
So let's just stop that. Listen, again, they're rolling it out for state employees. Trump's talking about no payroll tax on both ends now for employers that have hourly wage workers. This is it. This is the economic restructure. I'm going to say it again. This is 9/11 meets the stock market crash in a 2020 slow rollout. And unfortunately, it has everything to do with post-military control in a police state, probably nationally. I mean, this is the wet dream of really people that want global governance, that want global government, that want to legitimize that sort of thing. All right, a lot of people are saying this is the death of globalism. Well, I don't think that it is. I wish it were, but when you look at it, it does not seem that way to me. I mean, think about it. After all this, and we don't know how bad it's going to get, but after all of it's over, they're going to tell you that the virus could mutate. They're going to try to do forcible vaccinations. They're going to, and by the way, the virus mutating or becoming something else, that's forever fear. Think about 9/11 after 9/11 after 9/11 after 9/11 after 9/11 after 9/11, right? Terror, 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 Al-Qaeda, ISIS, terrorism, all that stuff. But now it's invisible and it's everywhere. And it could make, 9/11 didn't make the world stay in its home and be quarantined while tragedies occurred. I want to make that very clear. So let's continue.
We've asked them statewide to double the cleaning protocol. There's conflicting information on how long the virus lives on a hard surface, plastic or stainless steel. It was at first a couple of hours. Then some people said up to 12 hours. Some people now say up to 24 hours. Some people say maybe a little longer than 24 hours. We want to double the cleaning protocol just to make sure New Yorkers are confident. There was a situation in White Plains where an attorney who practiced at Westchester County Courthouse in the White Plains Courthouse tested positive. 6 courtrooms are closed for cleaning, and employees who had contact with that attorney will be on precautionary quarantine, and anyone who needs a test we will do. The overall number of cases.
So let's stop this right here. I want to make it really, really clear that my teachers from high school, Jay and Patty Jarabek, they had a son who was sent home from abroad from Italy. As far as I know, they never tested the son. Instead, they quarantined, the son after he was able to meet a parent, and then the younger son and Patty were in self-quarantine, but they didn't test any of these people. All right, this is New York State. Now, there is in Fulton County a separate teacher who has tested positive for this, but they didn't test the students. All right, this is selective testing and reporting on purpose. That's why, all right, do you see how the numbers work? Where are the first four? Forget about even the first three. Westchester County is the biggest, so that's where you have the containment zone and the military come in first. Second is New York City. They're only doing that through, again, selective reporting. Because if we were true, Cuomo's going to tell you. If they were to do wide-scale reporting, he's going to say it was here for a very long time and there's clusters all over. But how many people do you really think they tested in Fulton County or Saratoga County or even Ulster County or even Rockland County? All right, they're not as convenient. But when you talk about Nassau and you talk about New York City, you're talking about Long Island and you're talking about all 5 boroughs, right? And they're all bottlenecked up at that Westchester County, New Rochelle, New York point. That's where, and people are going to say I'm a liar. I'm not. This is happening. This is happening. Prepare.
In Westchester, you see again 13 new cases. That is probably the single most troubling point in the state right now.
A lot.
48, 12 new ones in New York City, 28 Nassau, 212 statewide. This number, as I have said from day one, will continue to grow every day.
Now here's where he starts to tell you the truth. All right, this is where the truth starts to come out.
The more tests we get, the more positives we will get. That's exactly what we are seeking. These are not random survey tests. This is not a random sample. We don't have people who are random sampling the universe to find out what the infection rate is.
And that's a problem because on so many levels. Because again, if you have people that are asymptomatic, they're spreading it, right? We know this spreads asymptomatically. Yesterday you admitted that it was much more infectious than the flu. Just most people don't even realize that it's happening, and their immune system has no problem with it. Well, again, that proves that the selective testing is going on purpose. And again, in many cases, they are not testing family members in upstate New York, all right, or even in New York City. Think about this. Almost a week, when this first rolled out, they were talking about they already had 4,000 plus precautionary quarantines and 44 mandatory quarantines in this state. 4,000 plus. They didn't even test a fraction of those people. They didn't test a fraction of those people. All right, so let's continue.
This is when we find the person who is positive, asking them who they came in contact with, and then testing that chain. That's primarily where these tests come from. And we're looking for the positive. So that is actually good news because it says we're successfully tracking the chain.
That's not true. See that, and again, that's deceptive. Because we're testing and getting the positives. No, if you test a random sample, you'll also get positives, as you're about to admit, which is what we need, because we need a real mortality rate on this thing. We need to start testing. Forget about like anybody who's been in contact with a positive person, like the teacher, then the entire school, that should have been the first random test zone, right? Find out how much one teacher in a school could spread this thing. We already know that, if you're 10 years old or under, I don't think they've recorded a fatality yet. Kids seem to be, doing all right on this thing. Let's continue.
These numbers will continue to go up dramatically. The more tests we do, the more these numbers will increase. These numbers do not reflect anyone's belief of what percent of the population is infected. My theory, talking to everyone else.
So here's the big reveal, guys. He's going to tell you exactly what I've been telling you. That it's been here for a long time. There are huge clusters all over New York State. And then you have to ask yourself, well, then why did you choose New Rochelle? And it's because they're going to lock down New York City.
Having no medical experience whatsoever, is the coronavirus was in this country before people acknowledged and that it is much more widespread than people acknowledge.
Fat Boy, thank you so much for that super chat. He says, thanks for your information, content, Jason. I appreciate you, brother. We're going to get to the AMA part in a minute. Remember, we're going to take all super chats, and then I'm going to try to go through the line as far back as I can. So listen, he's admitting this. It's been here for a long time. It just hasn't been tested.
My guess is when we go back and we look at this, we will find that there were many people who had coronavirus where it resolved and nobody even knew about it. We're looking at a test that would test for antibodies that the body produces to fight the coronavirus to prove out this point. If a person has antibodies that were produced to fight the coronavirus, it'll show that they actually had the coronavirus at an earlier time, resolved, and moved on. But that's a test that the Department of Health is working on. You see it goes New York and Washington State. Number 1 and number 2 depends on the number of cases that day. Again, to the extent these tests are representative of anything. Death rate in Washington State much higher because it was of a vulnerable population. It was a nursing home.
Wait, let's pause it there. That's what was reported. That's another big reason. Because again, I don't believe they're reporting the truth about New York. They're not reporting the truth over there either. And that's the other thing. So they don't know what the mortality rate is on that because they refused to test people that were staying with these people. And they refused to test people that were post-mortem as well. All right, go watch my other videos earlier in the week on that. So that's also very, very deceptive on Cuomo's part because you can say that, yes, they were in a more troubling zone for sure, but because you didn't test their families and you didn't test other old folks that live there, you're going to get a skewed perspective. And especially when you don't test people that supposedly die of natural causes in less than 12 hours living with these folks. That's absolutely ridiculous. So let's continue.
And that is the vulnerable population in a congregate setting. That is the most dangerous situation posed by this virus. Senior citizens, people with a compromised immune system, people with an underlying illness in a congregate facility.
So there you go, guys. I think I'm going to stop it right there. I don't even want to go with the facts over fear. You heard it. Again, he thinks it was here for a long time. He thinks a lot of people have recovered. So then why are they choosing New Rochelle? Well, they're choosing it because they're going to bottleneck off the city. You know what? Before I take all your questions, and I'm going to scroll it right back up to as far as I can right here. Bam. Up to that island girl. Again, remember, we'll take all super chats. I want to go over some of the other news that I did not yet because this is a global thing. It surpasses 1,000 globally last night again, it surpassed 1,000 official in the U.S., and the British health minister says that they are infected or is test positive. Again, there's pieces now on the National Guard setting to a New York City suburb. Oh, the New York City suburb, right on the other time. I want to remind people that, yes, the official account of the Army National Guard actually hearted my video exposing yesterday that the National Guard is only chosen New Rochelle as an artificial zone because they are going to lock down New York City. That should frighten people. That should let them know that I'm not full of it. Again, I don't think Suny Oneana has updated itself yet. Maybe it has by now. But no, it's still on March 8th. But yes, they are closed. What do we got here? As I told you, the CVS thing, expect this with a lot of small businesses closing. Washington State now has different levels, impending for actual hot martial law. All right, and this is not just Washington State. The executive authorities that Cuomo gave himself prior to this are extremely troublesome, to say the least. So let's do it. This is the highest I got. This guy and his brother are gangsters. I don't know what that means. Red flag. Oh, you're talking about the Cuomo family. You're not wrong. Red flag when a governor relinquishes control of his or her state. Have you watched JRE with the viral expert? I have not yet. Cuomo has woken up with a horse's head in his bed more than once. It's not about the virus. It's about the control. Correct. Um, Jason Archer, I don't know what that means. So sorry, we'll keep you in my thoughts. Governors are giving control to the feds, of course. No, listen, Cricky, I want to say this. I let you spam my page. I've let you spam my page now pretty much since I started redoing this a year ago. And you're going to call me fear porn? You're going to call me fear porn. I'm trying to get people set. I'm trying to tell you 2 to 3 months worth of food is smart. If you have somebody in an old folks home, now's the time to get them out. If you have somebody in a large city, now's the time to get them out. If you do have a country area, that's probably where you want to be. That's fear porn? Am I telling you everybody's going to die from this fucking virus? No, I'm not. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you? How about that? Glad I don't have kids. I got 2 to worry about, bro. This is a bioweapon. The death rate is 15, 2025. Will need ICU treatment. If they can't get in ICU, the death rate goes up to 20 to 30%, believe me. Again, I'm not trusting any of the official numbers. I know that there are studies out there on the vitamin C injections. I'm exercising more. I'm trying to keep my immune system up. I'm drinking hot things. I'm trying to keep happy. I'm trying not to stress out about this. In fact, when the kids are here, this is what I'm going to do with my kids. And they're my nieces, by the way, if you don't know who I am. My sister lives with me and my 2 nieces. I'm going to start teaching them Photoshop. I know they're going to love it. And we're gonna do school here, and I'm gonna teach them a skill, and hopefully they're gonna really love that and take after their old uncle, and maybe use digital, because they love to draw, they love to paint, they're so creative, they're great. I think that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I want to do. New York State and more. So New York City suffering from the pox and no 9/11 justice. The death rate in the USA is particularly high. It's 6.2% in Italy. Why do people call it fear porn? I don't understand. It's right in your face right now. In fact, my boy Fresh Alex, a.k.a. Nog Fresh, he's in that area. He says he's going to get me some videos of the stuff, and we'll see what he sends me, but we're going to stay in touch. And I'm sure more and more people are going to be leaking videos. You won't need Jason Burmis to see that there's going to be a huge troop buildup in that area in a very short period of time. Okay? If they call medical martial law, that means the UN can come on our territory. I think they already have. I think that's where we're at with the WHO declaring a pandemic. Storms coming? Dude, I saw somebody trying to promote that like somehow everybody needs to trust the plan, and this is it. This is where the unrests are going to happen from the imaginary man on the message boards. You guys are sick fucks. You're sick fucks if you think that's going to happen. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are upset at me that I can't help myself from cursing. I can't. If I had that limitation on like a terrestrial platform, no one's putting me on terrestrial anything. Anything. So thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. Let's continue on. Again, before I come back, I want to let people know the only way I'm able to do this, guys, if you want to see real footage, real, not right, left, not the chai comms or trying to stop Trump, but what's actually happening. And then you could decide, the backstory if you want. You could decide to believe Uri Geller, who says that, this is a bioweapon that accidentally got released. I wouldn't believe somebody who's CIA and Mossad and an illusionist and said he had mental powers. But, you can believe that if you want. You can believe fan fiction on Reddit. Or you can take a look at what everybody out there is saying and doing and the documentation. And then you can use your own discernment. I had to listen, go watch my videos from 5-6 weeks ago. I had to get over my denial. I was denying how bad this was. Period. I was. I didn't think the virus would come to the United States. I didn't think that they would actually quarantine zones off. That's inevitable. It's here. They're telling you it's here. What are you waiting for? WHO might as well be NWO. Definitely one of their mechanisms. Okay. Shut down 5G, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Doctor people are stupid. Who is NWA for sure? Who is NWO for sure? It titillates. I would love to see his prescription sheet. Whose prescription sheet? My prescription sheet? I don't have a prescription sheet. I don't take meds. All right? I understand that there are going to be times in my life that are difficult. I understand that I'm not going to feel great all the time. But I know when there are physical ailments in my body that I can usually get rid of them by, again, eating better, all right? Doing more things. That's real. How is it the schools are closed and tech workers staying home, but people are out shopping for random household goods at my place of business? I've been getting extra hours. Well, I think a lot of people are also starting to realize that you might need this in the next, 2-3 months. So, if you want your luxuries at home, now's the time to get those too. Don't bet on anything right now. All bets are off. This is new territory for all of us. Let's get that straight. This has nothing to do with 5G. Boneheads, 6 feet under, thanks. Suny runs the economy of upstate New York. Correct. I've talked about this. Just the economic impact of this alone is going to be huge. Hey, there's my boy Nog Fresh. There's my boy. Your Wood Goody Burmis Brigade. There he is. Thank you, bro. Much love. Another argument against Agenda 21. The CDC lies more than the FDA, CIA, and FBI combined. This is a bioweapon. The death rate. All right, listen. I just want everybody to know, don't spam me, because I'll get rid of you. Yeah, right? I would say that person's way more fear porn than I've ever been, just with all of his spam posts. FG has evil agenda. 60 gigahertz is a known toxic frequency that messes with oxygen. Is Burning Man canceled yet? No, but listen, it's going to be a federal deal. It's going to be a federal deal. Listen, South by Southwest was the precursor, the primer, to let you know that everything's eventually going to get canceled. This is it. No travel. Let's see. 5G created the Luminity. What makes people boneheads? Maybe they have more info than you do, bonehead. I've looked at this 5G stuff. I need a lot more. I need a lot more, guys. A lot more before I even consider it as a thing. Yeah, again, fan fiction's out there. Disinformation's out there. Crazy people exist. I'm telling you to keep your head on. I'm telling you, beans and rice, baby. Water and canned goods. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, have a plan if you need one. And have barter material. I'm starting to think now's the time to pick up liquor. Not for the alcoholics out there, but to barter with other people. Because I really feel like this could end up being like a very weird barter economy for a time. A localized barter economy. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, let's see. Opiate of the masses will be unavailable. No sports ball of the horror. Boston, Dublin, Chicago, LA, all canceled St. Patrick's Day events. Exactly. It's all happening. They're all canceled. St. Patrick's Day, I hate to tell you guys, it's not happening. Hard to see you emotional at the beginning of this feed, Jason. Thinking about you and your family. Lots of love. Thank you from Scotland. And by the way, I want to give a big shout out to Flick Off wherever you are. I haven't seen you since I came back from DC, I think, and I just want to thank you for all the support you have given over the past, weeks and months, and I hope you're okay, my friend. I really do. I haven't seen you, and it makes me concerned. I hope everything's really good for you, and maybe you just took some time off from the net and maybe saddled up to somewhere where you needed to, because you were part of the Burmis Brigade for sure, brother. Big part. But don't buy fear. You'll still be able to see all the sporting goodness on ESPN, so it's all good, folks. Do your over 30 years of experience in just communications of business. It's not 5G, period. Oh, Fredo's brother. Yes, they are brothers. Yes. Andrew and Chris are brothers. They are the sons of Mario Cuomo. Thumbs this video up, guys. Children's schools should have been shut down a couple weeks ago or before. The idea that they're not affected just turns them into force multipliers for the virus. Listen, they're all carriers. And I think Cuomo's right. I've never seen my two girls this sick. They've been here 3.5 years. Both of them were laid up successively in bed. This is, maybe a month and a half ago. And I'll be honest, my lungs felt fucking terrible afterwards. They did. I've never had my lungs feel as bad as they did for that time period. I think Cuomo is telling you the truth, that it's been here and it's gone. But now, because of how long it's been here, you're going to start seeing people really, panic when their mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, of elderly age suddenly drop dead, because this thing does move quickly on people that are susceptible to it. That's what we're finding out. All right, that's for sure. Let's see. Children, okay, sorry. Burning Man is the cure for coronavirus. They have to burn real criminals who have pulled this crap. This will usher in the era of robotic sports leagues. Sorta are meaningless to regular folks. 5G interferes with hemoglobin's ability to bind to oxygen. Fact. Listen, no one's saying that 5G is the best thing since breakfast. I don't have a 5G phone. I don't want a 5G phone. Quite frankly, no. No mas. No mas for me. I'll turn off 5G. I am taking colloidal silver to protect me against the coronavirus. The FDA just went after a bunch of companies saying that that helps you. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying, again, get healthy. Right now, I'm taking the fish oil. I'm taking the vitamin C. I'm taking the vitamin D. I'm down in some amino acids. I'm having a hot toddy at the end of the night. Better safe than sorry. I'm getting in the gym. I'm lifting up weights. All right? Do the same thing. I'm doing push-ups randomly. After this, I'm going to walk my dog. She's been whining at me all day. I bet you she's going to freak out once I do that. I don't think I'm going to do the walk and talk, though, because I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit spent. And I think maybe that I'm going to call the person I talked to right before this that made it pretty emotional for me, because this is real. This is real. This is real. This is real. Is it me, or does anyone else get a very bad feeling when hearing Cuomo's lackey telling the public that he knows it is scary to see uninformed armed soldiers, but they're just there to help? I haven't seen that yet. St. Patrick's Day is just another Jesuit deception. There were no snakes in Ireland. The snakes are symbolic of actual Christians. Jesuitism has weaponized Jesus' name in the true narcissistic abuse fashion. They say kids are dying of this. They just ain't telling you. That's a possibility. Remember, in China, it's been pretty public that they're doing CT scans on the virus, and they're saying that those that do survive it may have health issues afterwards, 100% no matter what. Knowing the virus can't harm you because you've had an immunity shot already. I don't know what that means. Any more than 3 meeting a conspiracy. Bahrain F1 auto race will be held in front of 0 spectators. Yeah, if they even let that happen. They might, though. I'm also giving colloidal silver to my dog. You're like a brother to us, Jason. Thank you, Sky. I appreciate that. This is what martial law looks like. It's going to look worse. But yes, he's prepping the public for the impending disappointment. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I mean, from what's going down, probably, yeah. Excuse me. But it's really not, we swear. Conspiracy theory said it would come to America. Now it is fact. Marty and Jesuits serve the Illuminati. The other day, they said it's hard to get. You would have to give it directly in your eyes or mouth. De Blasio said that. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Bullshit. Listen, again, go watch Cuomo yesterday. All right? Cuomo says that it is very, very contagious, more contagious than the flu. You know what? Maybe I can pull that. I bet you they don't have that as a highlight anyway. Says coronavirus more contagious than flu. See, again, I do that, and it's yesterday. Let's see if we can do the tools and say past 24 hours. Doesn't look like I can find that one. But yeah. I mean, listen, you got to see it yourself. He's telling you that it's more contagious, and I believe him, because I think that, again, it's been here for quite some time. Oh, there's my GoFundMe. You know what? I'm going to pop my GoFundMe in there one more time. Guys, again, $5, $10, $15 means huge to me. And if you got bigger donations, again, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to make a living out of it. I'm trying to be here for you 3 to 7 times a day on a various amount of topics, but this is probably the most important one right now. And by the way, coming up at in an hour from now, in fact, I better wrap this up. I'm going to have Gary Franchi on for a full review of Corey Feldman's new documentary, which I actually watched last night and I thought was very, very good. So we're going to talk about that in and out. This is a bioep. Oh, come on, dude! If I see it again before we end, I'm gonna have to get rid of you. Please don't spam my page. You can't keep people's children dying a secret. It would be all over social media. I think so too, especially in Italy, right? For sure. And I'm with you there. I concur, but that's a smug attitude the experts are saying. Again, I'm not believing the experts at all. I'm telling you not only what everybody's saying, but what I can see on the underground being posted, how people are being treated. Listen, I called my buddy today in Florida, and he was not ready for what I had to say to him, and his girlfriend was kind of ready to hear what I had to say to him, and then they called their friend in Italy, and he's like, man, thank you. Have the human conversation now. Show people the evidence. In fact, that's going to do it for me. Let's wrap it up. Thumbs this up. Subscribe, share. Remember, you want to support me? Guys, this is how I'm doing it, right here. So I want to say this again. This is not a left-right issue. It's almost a moot point where it came from at this point. It's going down. Be prepared right now. Right now, have a plan. Right now, get 2 to 3 months of food. Right now, get your loved one out of an old folks' home. If you think that you're going to have the kind of contact, you watch what happened to people in Kirkland. This is stuff that I was saying, again, 2 weeks ago now, but I'm telling you now, you don't have as much time as you think. So I love you, and I will see you on the flip side.